And one of the things that I really enjoy doing when I'm producing music is to do some lo-fi beats. I really enjoy lo-fi, and I think it's one of the most interesting sounds that not how can I say, it's one of the most interesting, it's, I don't want to say genre, but styles. It's more like a style of beats, and I really like to listen to lo-fi when I'm chilling, when I'm cooking, when I'm studying, working, something like that. I think it's a really cool style inside of hip hop, which is when you say lo-fi, it means low fidelity, and basically it's just a reference to the old school type of beats, because in the early days of hip hop production, you would not have DAWs or digital audio workstations and computers to make music. You would have to do it with drum machines, with the keyboards, like the SP1200. That's a drum machine. I don't think it's a keyboard. No, there, but I think there's a keyboard. Like, but then there are the MPCs and stuff like that. So those were the machines where you would make beats in the past. And those machines do not have the fidelity that we have today. So today we have systems in our computers, in our DAWs, with 32-bit floating point and very high sample rates that we can have. In the past, we would have 8-bit and limited sample rate. So those limitations gave something to the sound that made it sound unique. And we can replicate that in today's environment, today high fidelity or hi-fi environment. And to do that, we can do several things. The thing that I really like to do, and let me bring here a beat so that I can show you how to do that easier. Let me just grab one of the beats that I did last week. It's called Evil. And it was kind of a reference to Halloween. Okay, so now we have the beat here. Let me lower the volume a little bit so that I can speak over it. And one of the things that I like to do when I'm doing, or when I'm trying to do lo-fi beats, first of all, is apply some EQ. And I like to apply EQ because one of the things that we had in the past was also some limitation in terms of the frequencies that we could reproduce. So the earlier machines did not have too much low end, and the high end was also a little bit limited. So what I like to do, I like to do some type of low cut and high cut. And let me do some selection right here so that we can have a nice loop. So automatically you can see that. Let's see the before and after.
Daily Beats Production.
Automatically it gave us a little bit darker tone because we remove a little bit of the high end, and we also remove a little bit of the low. Now we are, maybe this is too much. Let's go maybe like this, and we can also do something like that. And we could focus, for instance, here in the mids. Okay, this could be one of the ways to do this. Of course, you can always change the parameters so that you can manipulate how you would like to sound. The next thing would be to add some type of lo-fi, and this is kind of like reducing the bit rate of the sample. As I told you, if you see in your options, the audio settings, you can see that today we are working at 44,100 hertz, and the quality of our plugins, or not plugins, but the quality of our audio is very high nowadays. And for instance, if you see here, if I would go to export, you could export as 32-bit floating point, 24 and 16. But what I want to do is simulate the old machines. So for that, you can decrease the quality of your sound by limiting the amount of bits that you would have in the output. For that, you would use, for instance, I have this ultra maximizer that allows me to change here the quantization. And as you can see, I have 24, 20, 16, 12, and 8. I would go to 12 or maybe 8. As you can see now, the quality is even lower, or the quality of the sound. But that's actually what we want in this type of lo-fi beats.
Daily Beats production.
If you don't want to have some hissing noise, we might go from 8 to 12, but 8 is okay. And this is doing it manually. So with these 2 points, as you can see, there's already some hissing noise. Maybe I would go to 12 to reduce that hissing. Or we can also leave it at 12 and then bring up another filter and then just remove all of this hissing again. So let's see without. So this way we have the full fidelity, the full range.
Daily Beats production.
Now it's kind of lo-fi. So you could do this way. There's also another plugin that is really, really cool that you can use that is from Isotope. It's called Vinyl. And this one gives you a bunch of options here. You can have the number of year that you want. So 2000 would be the highest quality and 1930 would be the lowest quality. As you can see, this removed way more low end and way more high end than I did with the EQs. And 2000 would be the highest quality. Usually when I go for the lo-fi type beat, I would go maybe 80, 70, 1970 and 1980. Then we have here wear, we have dust, scratching and warping. I would stay away from warping too much. We could add some scratching also, but we could also add some dust. Dust is okay to have in a higher amount. Scratching, it depends. Scratching can be a little bit hard in your tracks. And here in the RPM, you can change the speed of the scratching and the dust and make it slower. This is the only difference here. You will not notice any difference in terms of play. It's just a difference in how fast you will get the scratch and how slower it would be. As you can see, let me maybe bring this one here and increase the volume so that you can see the difference. Actually, there's not too much of a difference. But I would assume this would make the sound a little bit slower, or the effect of dust and scratching a little bit slower. So I think that's it for this question. These are the 2 ways, or the several ways that I use to add lo-fi to my beats. And this is some of the tips that I would give.